So here I am in a small patch of goldenrod at Stockdale Park, and what you can see here on the goldenrod is you can see some goldenrod beetles crawling around. Now goldenrod beetles are harmless, so to collect them you can actually just grab them, and once you have one in your hand you can just open up your kill jar and plunk them in there, and you see that there is a killing agent in there. Well, he's fallen into the chem wipes. There he is. And the ethyl acetate that is in there will knock him out within just a few minutes. You can see he's already beginning to struggle. He is struggling, he is struggling, he is struggling. And the kill jar essentially will knock him out, it will anesthetize him, and if he stays in there long enough, he will succumb to the fumes and die. And at that point, you can remove him from the jar and you can place him in your 50 ml centrifuge tube that you will have labeled according to the way that we're going to tell you to label them in lab. And then you can just store the 50 ml centrifuge tube in your backpack or whatever, as long as you make sure that the lid is firmly fastened. And they'll stay in there until it's time to centrifuge them and extract the pollen from their bodies. So once it's died, you can just reach in, pull out the chem wipes, make sure that the beetle is still there. You can dump him out, and then once you have him, you can drop him into the vial of alcohol. But once again, you don't have to worry about handling these guys because they're not harmful at all. Same thing with the dark flower beetles. They are harmless also. The only things that you need to exercise care with is wasps and bees, and I'll show you how to do that, assuming that I can find some out, although it's kind of late in the day and it's a little chilly. Okay, so you probably can't see it. Are you recording now?
Yes.
You probably can't see it, but there is a small yellow jacket right there on that goldenrod. And what you need to do to catch the stinging insects is you need to use the insect net. So this is my personal insect net. We also have some insect nets up in lab. And what you're going to do is you're going to swing the insect net through the top of the inflorescence where the insect is, hopefully without totally destroying the goldenrod plant. But if you happen to destroy the goldenrod plant, that's a necessary consequence potentially. Once I swing through, I'm going to swing all the way through, and then I'm going to flip the net around. I'm going to flip the net around like this so that the insect is trapped in the end here. My net has a hole in it. That's not so good. So it's trapped in the end here so it won't come out. And then once it's in the end here, we'll work on getting it into the kill jar. So here we go. That little guy is still there. Oh, there's actually a couple of them. Oh no, there's some goldenrod beetles. This guy is right here on the end, and so I'm going to catch him the way you would catch him in a net. And if I've done that correctly, at the bottom of the net, you can see that there is a wasp down there. Now, hand me the kill jar. You can deal with the wasp in a couple of ways. One way kind of disables your net for a while, so it's not the way that I would recommend. So one way is to take the net and find the insect in it. Where did the insect go? Find the insect in it, so it's right there at the end, and just take the lid off and trap the bug in the screw-on lid and screw the lid onto the net. But of course the problem with that is now you can't do anything else with your net because there's a jar hanging off of it. Because you have to leave it in there long enough that the insect becomes immobilized by the killing agent, and then you can unscrew this, put your jar inside the net, and get the insect. So actually a better way of doing this is actually just to go that way at the beginning. So put our lid back on the insect, or on the kill jar, And what you can do is you can see through the net always, and so you can keep an eye on where the insect that you desire is. And so what you can do is take your lid off and snake the jar up through the net. And you want to always try and keep the net as tight around the jar as you can until finally you are navigating the jar into the peak of the net. And you notice how I'm keeping the net tight around my wrist over here so that nothing can come out. And then you should be able to just work the insect into the jar from there. And if you leave it on there for just a few minutes, it's down there. All of the killing agent is down here in the plaster of Paris end. So if you can get it to go down to there, you can hold the jar lid on for just a minute, and that will immobilize it to the point that you can safely take that out, get the lid on there, and then, as you can see, there we have a now immobilized wasp. And then you want to leave him in there long enough that he's good and dead. And then once you have gotten him good and dead, you can then take the lid off, you can reach in, you can take the chem wipes out, and you can once again get your vial of ethanol, and you can actually just, you don't want other insects in there, you actually can just work him down to the jar lid. And also you don't want pieces of goldenrod in there either, because you don't want them to be contributing to your pollen count. And there he goes. Slid right in there. And normally if he was alive, he would be squirming around a lot, but you effectively killed him with your kill jar. Now, ethyl acetate, which is what is in here, evaporates very quickly, and so you want to keep the jar lid on at all times when you're not using it. If you have somebody to come out and help you with this, that's actually kind of useful, because then you have somebody handing you the jar and things like that. If you come out and do it on your own, it's still doable, it's just you have to pay a little more close attention to what you're doing. You can safely collect things that will sting you without risking getting stung. But once again, like we told you in the instructions, if you're allergic to bees and wasps, we do not want you collecting bees and wasps. We'll have you collect the other things, and then people who are not allergic will handle the bees and wasps. And that's pretty much how you collect the insects. Once they're in the vial, we'll take them back to the lab, and then there's a whole set of processing that we have to do with them in the lab. And that's it.